Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. My name is Hunter, and we're talking about winter returning into the United States as we go into February here, and the signs of winter becoming stronger as we go deeper into February with more snow, ice, and very cold air. And we're going to be diving into everything that you need to know in this forecast. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, especially if you're new here, so you can follow along with all my detailed, accurate weather breakdowns. Like the video, give it a thumbs up, and share this video with friends, family, and on social media. I definitely appreciate it. Let's look at the record-breaking heat that we actually did see today down here in Texas and all across the eastern U.S. above normal to well above normal temperatures. Coldest of the air locked up to the north here across Montana, the Dakotas, and Minnesota, and even colder air than that up into southwestern Canada. Let's eye up what we saw for highs today across the west and look at a lot of these 70s, 80s here in these oranges and reds, especially in the desert southwest into Southern California and Arizona. Here's where we go as we go into overnight tonight and early tomorrow morning. Temperatures will cool off, but still into the 50s and 60s down here in the desert southwest. Coldest areas will be in Montana. Those are areas that are going to be below zero, single digits below zero with our temperatures. Our wind chills up here will be pushing 20, even 25 degrees below zero. So if you are living in Montana and you're watching my weather forecast, make sure to bundle up with layers if you venture outdoors early Tuesday morning. Now let's check out the central U.S. view. Record-breaking heat across Texas, even a couple areas reaching near 90 degrees this afternoon. Look at the temperature gradient here from southern Kansas into the 80s all the way into the 30s in northern parts of the state of Kansas. In very cold air up here into the northern U.S., we're talking the Dakotas, northern Minnesota on either side of zero in the single digits. And here's we go as we go into Tuesday morning. Notice a lot of these areas staying in the single digits below zero, maybe the single digit below zero line going all the way down into South Dakota, southern Minnesota, and north central Wisconsin. And look at the areas that were near 90. We're going to start off in the 40s as we go into tomorrow morning. So a stark contrast to what we saw this morning. And let's look at the east. Very warm as well in the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, starting off in the 50s and 60s, 70s, yes, 80s down here in the Sunshine State. And looking at a nice reprieve from the very cold air we've seen in Maine as well. Temperatures here are in the 20s. Let's look at where we go into tomorrow morning and notice we're down into the single digits and teens for lows. A very warm type of air mass really for Maine compared to what you have been seeing. And then lows into the 40s, 50s, and 60s across much of the southeast, the Ohio Valley, that temperature gradient. If you're northern Ohio Valley, you're in the 20s. Southern Ohio Valley, you're in the low to mid 30s tomorrow morning. Let's look at our air as we go through the rest of the week ahead, and we're going to be seeing the mild push of air kind of sticking around across the south and southeast as we go through the rest of the week. There's Tuesday. Here we go into midweek on Wednesday. Another push of some mild air with southwest flow aloft as we go into the middle of the week. And that just continues to precede storm systems. So out ahead of these storm systems, we're going to continue to see a lot of this warmer air continue. And that really goes all the way through Super Bowl weekend and Super Bowl Sunday as well. Before we start to get a cold front there on Super Bowl Sunday, that'll really kind of push that ridge and warmer air much further off the southeast coast than what we've been seeing. Let's look at the Pineapple Express across the west. This is creating a lot of travel troubles, especially in higher elevations with snow, but also some flooding and hydrological issues as well across northern California with some rain. We're going to continue to see that as we go into tonight through the day on Tuesday. And notice the precipitation by midweek Wednesday starts to migrate further south, more into central California foothills and into Southern California. Note that it does reach the Los Angeles proper area. So areas down here that have been really devastated by wildfires and some dry weather recently should get some moisture. The question is how much moisture, and that is the wild card right now. But as we go into Thursday, another storm system moves in right on its heels, and that could bring some more moisture into Central California foothills, the Sierras with the heavier snow, and Southern California as well. For Los Angeles, San Diego could be seeing some rain later on in the week, and then going into Super Bowl weekend, we should dry out. High pressure should be working in, and we shut off the taps for moisture. How much rainfall are we looking at? Northern California is going to see the brunt of the heavy rain. That's where we're going to see moisture levels of 6 to 12 inches of additional precipitation. This is on top of what we've already seen to this point. Parts of Los Angeles proper down here into San Diego could be seeing maybe up to an inch. That would be great news for areas that have been so dry for so long. And looking here at the watershed out west, the Sierra is going to be seeing lots of heavy snow, could be adding up to 70, 80 more inches as we go all the way through Sunday, February 9th here. And some of that heavy snow reaching areas like Oregon, Idaho, Montana, western Wyoming, Utah, Nevada, Colorado. You guys get it. A lot of snowfall further off to the west. What about the central and eastern U.S.? So this evening we have a little bit of snow across interior parts of New England, upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Not really, that dissimilar to where we should see snow this time of year. And looking here at the middle of the week, we got another storm system. This one is worth watching for at least an ice potential for northern Missouri as soon as Wednesday morning. And as we go into Wednesday afternoon, that ice threat, freezing rain and sleet, will migrate north into Iowa, northern Illinois, and northern Indiana. Snowfall with a deeper cold air further to the north into Minnesota, Wisconsin. Rainfall with deeper warm air further south. Could be seeing some thunderstorm and some severe weather activity at times. As we go into Thursday, very interesting. We're going to have a high pressure preceding this system. That's what's bringing in all the warmer air on the eastern side of the high, western side of the high bringing in the cooler air, and some cold air damming could actually lead to more of a widespread freezing rain setup with some sleet mixing in across southern New York State, Pennsylvania, especially eastern Pennsylvania, the Poconos, down into Maryland. That will be something to watch into Thursday. And then as we go into Friday, another system gathers across the plains, and that could take a similar track with more snow to the north, freezing rain underneath the low track, and then we have more rain and severe weather issues further to the south for Super Bowl Sunday, again taking a very similar track. Looking at the moisture with these two systems combined midweek and into the weekend, we're going to be seeing some potential heavy rain across, especially centered around Kentucky, also Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia, Tennessee. Going to see our fair share of heavy rain on the order of about 1 to 3 inches. That could cause some isolated flash flooding, but the snow line will be well to the north, as really the deep cold air will remain locked up to the north, at least for the first 10 days here or so of the month of February. So we could have a solid stripe of 3 to 6 plus inches across the northern plains, upper Midwest, so the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, northern lower Michigan, the UP of Michigan there, and then some really heavy snow over there into upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Maine, and then some snow there in southeastern Canada. Ice threat in between, underneath the surface low track, that's going to be something to watch, especially for the Midwest, the Ohio Valley here. That could creep up as far north as central Michigan, central Wisconsin, so we'll keep an eye there. And then more of a widespread ice setup with both systems, midweek and late week into the weekend across eastern Pennsylvania. That's kind of the bullseye where the heaviest ice accretion could be. And some of these areas could be seeing over a 1/4 inch of ice, so something to watch as we go through the weekend. Beyond this, as we go into the second week of February, we are going to be talking about some much colder air. The stratospheric polar vortex will be getting disrupted or split, and that will take some time, usually around 1 to 2 weeks for the cold air to reach down to where we live in this troposphere. But we definitely are seeing a big spill of Arctic air into at least the northern U.S. How far south and how intense this the magnitude of the cold air will really dictate how far south it goes. If it's really cold, like minus 50s up here with wind chills in the Dakotas, then obviously Texas will be very cold. Something to monitor, but we are going to watch the jet stream. Watch the buckles in the jet stream going into next week. Out ahead of this cold air, we're going to see 1, 2, 3 buckles or so in the jet stream between the 10th and around the 15th, 16th of February, and each one of those buckles are winter storms that essentially will be moving into the central and eastern U.S. So here's Monday, February 10th. This is the European model at 12Z. Notice we're pretty quiet, and then we gather up a storm there. This could be a pretty big snow system potentially before Valentine's Day, around Wednesday the 12th and Thursday the 13th. And then as we go into Valentine's Day on Friday the 14th, notice that exits, and then we have another system right on its heels, and we just continue to follow the snow train further off to the east. What does the European model show for snow? Pretty heavy snows, especially further east you go, the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, including the I-95 corridor. Great setup for heavy snow events here. as we go into the second week and really toward the middle of February. The Midwest and the Central Plains could see some snow as well. Lighter amounts overall back here toward Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois, and Missouri, but areas back here could still see a few inches according to the European model. What about the GFS, the American guidance here at 12Z? Similar scenario, maybe a little bit more precip in the southeast at onset here with some rain, and then we have a snow system, potentially an overrunning setup as we go much of the next week time frame. That could bring more heavy snow to the northeast going into the middle of the week, followed by yet again another winter storm right on its heels. GFS model more bullish on heavy snows for the I-95 corridor, Philly down there toward Baltimore, Washington, D.C. Something to keep an eye on here as we get closer. Obviously, it's kind of far out. We're around a week or so out, so the models are still trying to diverge and converge on a solution here as we go through the middle of February. And as we go to the third week, this is probably when we're going to be dealing with the stratospheric polar vortex more so with the cold air it will bring. That will squash the ridge south to the Gulf Coast and Florida. So areas that'll be warm, Rio Grande Valley, Arizona, New Mexico, and Florida, going to be pretty warm as we go into the third week of February, essentially between Saturday, February 15th and the following Saturday, February 22nd, really would be the third week of the month, and that will be followed by more snow. Now, this map does show the grays all the way down here into Texas. I don't know that it gets that far south with the snow line, but it will get further south with much colder air into the central and eastern U.S., so we'll just have to watch. Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, maybe even North Carolina here could get some better opportunities for snow as we go in deeper into the month there of February. We'll continue to track all of this winter weather, including snow, ice, everything that you need to know, severe weather, including the polar vortex here on this channel. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and follow along with all my detailed, accurate weather breakdowns. Like the video, give it a thumbs up, and it's crucial, share this video with friends, family, and on social media. And if you want to leave a comment down below, make sure to comment down below, and I will answer as many comments as I possibly can later on today. And I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their Monday out there.